And welcome to the show. My name's Chris Reardon. This is United Kingdom Talk on another rather nice September sunny day. Yes, the summer may well be over. Well, I think we're having an Indian summer. A little bit more nice weather towards the mid and towards the end of September. The hanging baskets, however, well, I'm afraid they're nearly gone. I think it's time to chuck them out, dear. Dead flowers all over the place. And sometimes you wonder to yourself, is it worth it doing those, I don't know, cool spring weeks, preparing your lovely summer hanging baskets, only just to have them just a couple of months later dying around you? Never mind. I think it's time. I think it's time to chuck them out. It's time to make the new winter hanging baskets. Now, I don't usually bother with too many of those. However, this year I thought I'd redo all my summer hanging baskets with winter flowers, namely winter pansies. And I'll tell you why. I have a pot with winter pansies in it, and they have gone on right the way through the summer. They are still flowering. Now, is this strange? Usually when I have gardeners' questions, we usually get one person answer at least. But I don't know why. I've got yellow and purple flowers from my winter pansies, and they are still flowering, have done right the way through the winter. Now, they have been in a cool area of the garden, kind of in the corner, which is in the shade most of the time. And I wonder if the answer is there. Because I thought they were supposed to die out in the summer, aren't they, winter pansies? Any ideas? Do let us know. There's an email address to the show. It's chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Why are my winter pansies still flowering right the way through, after winter, through the summer, and now coming into autumn? Why is that? Someone let me know. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. So lots to do there. For the first time, and I haven't seen this film before, we had the Titanic on one of the TV channels. Oh my God. Oh, this blooming chair keeps collapsing, doesn't it? I'm sick to this. Sick of it. I'm going to chuck... do you know what? I'm going to chuck this out. I'm fed up with it. Every time I sit back... Here, look. Oh, there it goes again. Cat's jumped off me now. She was sitting on my lap. I'm sitting in the garden, right, and I've got what is known as a steamer chair, right? Oh, I see why. There's a screw missing. There's a screw missing from my head as well, I think, to be honest. But that must be what it is then. Oh, and the thing just keeps collapsing. At the moment, I want to be at like the highest level to chat to you, don't I? But every time I try... Can I lean back a little bit? I bet that'll go again before the end of the show. It's bound to. Katie, do you want to come and sit back on my lap? Yes? I had the cat sitting on my lap. She jumped in the air then. Come on then, girl. It's only an old chair. Don't worry. It's not as important as you. Up you come. Come on. I've got my cat... Oh, there's a cat brushes there as well. She loves... Katie loves my cat, Katie. She's about 10 years old now, 10, 11. She loves being hard brushed. I've got this pet brush. She don't like it gentle. Oh, no. You've got to like... Oh, the chair. I hate this chair so much now. I really do. How am I going to do the show sitting on this? Right, she likes a fairly hard brush, don't you, Katie? She's not purring, but I know she likes it because she's not moving. And it gets rid of all the dead hairs and that. Quite important to do this in the springtime, okay? Because they start losing all their fur at spring. And if you don't do it, your house will have fur all over the blooming place, right? And also, I think in coming towards winter... autumn, winter, I think they must change their fur again then, because I usually get quite a lot of it out here. Now let me just lift... oh, she's gone now. There you are, quite a lot of fur there. A lot of fur coming out of her. Unfortunately, foolishly, I'm wearing today a black shirt as well, and that's now covered... Oh, God, there goes the chair again. That's now covered in cat fur. I wonder if I can sit still, which I find very difficult to do, to be honest. If I sit still, maybe the chair won't keep collapsing. Oh dear, I do try and do things on the cheap, don't I? Do you know, there's a lot to be said for moving back into the studio and just doing all the shows from there. I'm actually in the garden today, which you may be able to hear the birds singing. Can you hear that wood pigeon? That was actually me, not a bird singing. I know it's difficult to tell. You might just be able to hear children playing in the background because there's a school not too far away from here. Actually, talking about animals, I saw the most marvellous programme on the television this week. Now, of course, the shows are recorded. These shows are recorded a week ahead. So, 2 of them have been on now. Now, I did write down the title of this. Let me see. No, I can't find it now. It was something to do with animals, discovering new animals and insects in the valley of a volcano or something like that. It's on BBC One during the week. And these scientists and explorers have gone to New Guinea, where they have the most marvellous lush forest, and of course you know what's happening there, don't you? Oh yes, the loggers have moved in there. They're trying to cut down a load of trees and that to sell, and it's just horrendous how they do that. Of course, they would say to you, ah yes, but you want paper, you want this. Well, there are other ways to do it, you know. Sustainable wood and tree growing is the way to go. Well, they're cutting down this forest at the moment. So these scientists and all that have gone into the forest in New Guinea to make notes of all new creatures and little things like that. And they've come across so many new discoveries, like new discoveries of frogs. It's just off Australia, isn't it? Oh, it's just off Australia, New Guinea, I think. New species of frogs that haven't been seen before. Insects. They've got really big beetles, huge beetles. And this bloke on the television programme, he lets them crawl all over him. And it was crawling up the side of his head and around his ear. Oh, no, I couldn't be doing that. I mean, how do you know these things are not poisonous? That's the point, isn't it? If it's a new species and you've never seen it before, how do you know that's not going to bite you and that's it, 2 minutes later you're going to be paralysed and then 5 minutes later dead? Very, very brave people. Not as brave as this other bloke who was there, and they were in this water thing, right? Okay, just got off the river, and he noticed a crocodile track, right? So what did he do? He followed it. He tried to find the crocodile, right? And these crocodile tracks took him to a nest of eggs. He said, yes, well, that's a crocodile nest there. As you can see, something looks like it's got here before us. And he picked up the eggs. And he says, yes, as you can see, the eggs are all broken. And then he put his finger in it. There was no glove or anything. How vile is this? He put his finger in this egg and pulled out. He said, yeah, there you can see, they haven't hatched out. Here's the amniotic fluid or something like that. I don't know what it was called, dear. But it looked like a fertilised egg that hadn't developed and something had got into it. And he said, yeah, the crocs definitely haven't come out because apparently baby crocodiles, when they're still in the egg, they have a tooth on the end of their lip. And that tooth allows them to break out of the egg. Did you know this? You see, I could do... that sun's bright today. I could do natural history programmes, don't you think? Although I wouldn't be following the path of a crocodile. I mean, how do you know this thing's not going to suddenly leap out and attack? You haven't got much chance with a crocodile, have you? Eh? Dear me. Apparently, now what was it you said? Some sort of mondial lizard? Mondial lizard? Oh, what was it called now? Anyway, apparently some sort of lizard seeks and locates crocodile eggs and eats them, the eggs. So, I mean, that's why. But I mean, I wouldn't be tracking crocodiles, would you? Seem to be on his own, only him and his cameraman. So if something, because they move quite quickly, crocodiles, don't they? Someone in Australia will tell us that. Do crocodiles move quickly? What's the best thing to do, right? If you are in one of these other countries with crocodiles and one starts chasing you. Now, someone said to me you're supposed to run from side to side because they're not very good at going from side to side, only in straight lines. Is that a load of old baloney? Or is that true? If you know, please let us know. I mean, you could be saving someone's life who's listening or watching this episode of United Kingdom Talk and is about to go on holiday. And if they were chased by a crocodile and you had already told them, then you would have possibly received an award for saving their life. Eh? So let me know, Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. What else did they discover? They discovered this poisonous catfish, right? And it's got a barb on it, which is similar to the barb on stingrays. So you've got to be very careful. And the most strangest fish you've ever seen in your life had lots of little things. Oh, there goes the chair again. I tell you what, when I finish this show, I don't know if I want to go down the dump today or not. No, I'm going to smash this chair up, throw it away, and go down Sainsbury's Home Base and buy a new one. I've had enough of this thing collapsing. I really have. And it's falling apart. It's a few years old now, anyway. What was I saying now? Oh, yes, this strange-looking catfish, which they kind of fished out of the water. And they had to be careful how they held it. Also, its fin was very sharp. And the reason is, if it is attacked by a shark, right, or another predator, then this fish, if it gets in the crocodile's mouth or the shark's mouth, it puts its fin up. And then as the other animal closes its mouth, this fin is so sharp it just goes straight for the roof of the other one's mouth and it spits it out again. Isn't it funny how nature gives animals little things to fight off other animals? I mean, we're useless, really, aren't we? We have a brain, so we can, I suppose, make guns and knives and all sorts of awful things like that. And that's really our only protection against animals, isn't it? Really is. And I love these nature programmes. I told you on the last show about Joanna Lumley's Catwoman TV series. That's on ITV at the moment on Sunday nights. That's good as well. I mean, really good programmes. What else did they see on this natural history thing? Oh, yes, they saw a pygmy parrot. Ever heard of a pygmy parrot? I bet you haven't, have you? And these really are tiny parrots. Now, when I say tiny parrots, I don't mean as small like a budgerigar. I mean smaller. These parrots are the size of your thumb. They are tiny little things. And they are the cutest things you've ever seen in your entire life. They really are. Apart from my cat, of course. But, I mean, she's getting on a bit now, aren't you, girl? Eh? She's laying down next to me now. Oh, she's turned over and she wants a little tummy rub, don't you, Katie? So, pygmy parrots. Have a look at it on the internet. Type it into Google. And have a look at a pygmy parrot. I've never heard of one before. Anyway, they're really cute little things, about the size of your thumb. So they discovered that. Well, they knew they existed, but they'd never seen one before. And they found the nest, which was basically a hole that had been hollowed out in a piece of wood. The scientists were saying really good places to find insects and things like that that haven't been discovered before are actually old fallen trees. You know, where the wood is rotting. And apparently, everything in these forests and jungles, nothing is wasted. Everything is completely recycled. So the tree falls down, the insects and various funguses move into the wood and eat it, and then it all goes round again, you see. Another thing they found were ants that had been infected by a fungus, okay? And this fungus somehow manages to get the ant to walk up a leaf and the fungus multiplies inside the ant and the ant just becomes a shell. Literally, it eats it from the inside out. What a dreadful way to go, dear. Isn't it? An awful way to go, to be eaten from the inside out. So, marvellous programme now. I think it's something that says the Valley of Volcanoes or Inside Volcanoes. It's a programme like that, natural history programme, or natural... No, it's not natural, is it? It's not history. What wildlife programme, I suppose it can be called, on BBC One during the week. So keep an eye out for that one, those of you in the UK. Now, I was just going to say, talking of creatures, right, and I'm not going to mention whose name it is, one of my friends the other day who works in a pub that I work in, I can't say which one, it's because it's not fair. Most pubs have staff quarters upstairs. Okay, that's one of the reasons that bar staff's wages are so low, is because they get live-in, which is worth in London an awful lot of money. Bar staff wages here in London are not good. I mean, let's be honest about it, they are not good at all. However, if you get somewhere to live in, then I don't see how you can complain, because, you know, to rent a room in London, you'd be looking at minimum of £150 a week. So, I mean, that's what it's worth. Living free, minimum wages. I mean, that sounds a fair deal to me. It's not like you're working in, say, a restaurant or something and you don't have any live-in and you're on minimum wages there. That's a hard life. It's a hard life, I think, to be on, like, bar staff wages and not have a live-in as well. If you've got a live-in, then I don't see how you can complain about the wages, because that itself boosts your wages by 150, 200, maybe more than £200 a week, which you haven't got to pay out for a room, you see. Anyway, my friend stayed in one of the spare rooms in this particular place the other week, last week actually, and he rang me in the morning. He says, "You never guess what?" I said, "What?" He said, "I've stayed in so-and-so's room." Now, the room has been empty for about 7 or 8 weeks now, okay? This particular room. And he says, "I've been bitten." I said, "What by?" He said, "Bed bugs." I said, "You're joking." I said, "Where was this?" And he told me where he was. I said, "But that's so-and-so's room, isn't it?" "Well, he's away at the moment. So this must have happened since he's gone away." And he said, "Look," and he lifted up his T-shirt, and he was bitten all over his stomach and along his arm. And I said, "Well, didn't you realise before you got into the bed?" He said, "I didn't see anything, Chris." I said, "Well, you must have done." He said, "There was nothing. All that happened, I woke up sort of, you know, early hours of the morning to go to the toilet. And when I woke up," he said, "I thought I saw something crawl across the bed he was laying in." I'm sorry if this is giving you the creeps. It's the most awful thing ever, this, I tell you. So he got back into bed and went to sleep. I think he got up again a bit later on because it was itching. And he turned on the light and he looked on the bed and there was something moving. And he looked over and there was something else moving, and he saw a load of them all on the bed. As he turned the light on, of course, they've scuttling off the bed somewhere else. Can you think of anything worse than that? And he said it made him feel really dirty, and I thought, I should think it did, dear. How awful, bed bugs. It must be one of the things that makes you feel really dirty. Now, I can relate to this. If you're a regular listener to the show, you may know that I'm going back about 8 or 9 years now, I did have an infestation of fleas in my house, which of course were being brought in by one of the cats. That's when the asthma wasn't too bad. Okay, and the cats were allowed in the house at that point. And I always remember sitting there in the living room on the armchair or on the settee, and I felt something jump on my leg. Of course, I looked down. By the time I looked down, it had gone, and I just brushed it away. And next day, it happened a couple of times. This time, I actually saw something jump off my leg. I just ignored it. Day 3, it happened 3 or 4 times, and they multiply so quickly, and I had a real infestation problem in the house. I dealt with it eventually by use of proper sprays from the vets. There's a little bit of advice there. If you ever get fleas in the house, do not bother certainly if you're in the UK, I don't know about other countries, don't bother with the rubbish that they sell you at the supermarket. Any sort of, you know, powder, like, a little bit like shake and vac that you put down on the carpet, it doesn't work. It will work for about 4 or 5 days, and then they will come back, because that's exactly what happened to me. What you've got to do is go down the vet, tell them the problem. There's no embarrassment, because they see it time and time again, all right? Go down the vet, tell them what the problem is, and then you will buy a special insecticide spray, which is quite expensive, okay? You're probably looking at about £20 a can for that. But you follow the instructions, you spray all around the living room, and then you hold it in the air and spray in the air, and then you close the door, and you leave the house for a period of time. You come back later, open all the windows, and you will be surprised how many dead things are there on your carpet. I mean, it shocked me to think that I was sharing my house with so many various different insects. Flies, those lice things, or whatever they are, vine weevils, I don't know what they're called now, spiders, all of them dead on the carpet. The most disgusting sight you've ever seen. I mean, not hundreds and hundreds of them, but a few here and there. And that was 8 years ago, and they've never come back. So clearly, that stuff works. Now, in my friend's case, of course, he immediately told the manager about these bed bugs, who was fuming that whoever it was before had let this happen. But I suppose, you know, if he'd have known it was happening, he would have done something about it. The fact is, he's away now somewhere else. Okay? So the manager immediately, the next day, arranged fumigation of the room upstairs, and indeed all the other rooms upstairs. You see, the thing is, with these bed bugs, after my mate told me about this, I looked it up on the internet. And these things move around different rooms, okay? During the daytime, they don't come out until late at night when you're asleep. They hide in the top of curtains, in the, you know how the bed is made, in the wood joints, they hide in there, and they don't come out until late at night. And then they bite you and they suck your blood. And the most vile things you've ever seen in your life. I mean, just look it up on the internet, type in pictures of bed bugs, and they come at night, and that's it. Now, I also saw on the internet, if no one is in that room for a while, the bed bugs will move. They will move around different rooms, like late at night when you're not awake, until they find something they like, and then they will move in there. So that's why they got all the rooms done upstairs to get rid of them. Isn't that the most awful story, eh? So there we are, bed bugs. Now the way to not get them in the first place, well, it's difficult really. You see, people can bring them in without realising it. They really can. And of course, as they say with other creatures, fleas, rats and things like that, these creatures actually prefer a clean house. However, my opinion is of that, if you keep vacuuming your bed, you know, not every time, you've got to vacuum your bed, you've got to wash your sheets once a week at least, and turn the bed over now and again, then surely this will help not getting bed bugs. Or at least will keep them down to a minimum if you've got them. Although perhaps, quite frankly, there's a lot to be said for not doing these things, because if you've got bed bugs, you want to know that they're there so you can do something about it, don't you? Oof. Horrible. I don't know if you've got any creature stories like that. Send them in on the old email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. There is also a text number now for the show. If you want to text messages to the show, you can do that as well. I set that up at the request of Ross Patzelt from his own podcast, rosspatzelt.co.uk. Colourful language there. Do be careful. He does like to swear on there. I don't know why, but he does. I don't know why I love you. Oh, cat's back on my lap now, aren't you, darling? OK, the texting number, if you're here in the UK, is 07815 907 896. All right, 07815 907 896. 6. If you're outside the UK, you can also text in, dial your international access code, followed by 44 for the UK, 7815 907 896. Now, if you are outside the UK, I would like to try that out to check that that works. And can you afford to send little old me one international text? Maybe you can. 07815 907 896 is the international text number. There's also a postal address as well. If you want to put pen to paper, you can do that as well. And I shall give you that if you want to grab a pen, okay, after our next little segment. Is it a segment? Would you call it a segment? I got a very strange email this morning. I've never had one before, from a fetish shop. Very strange indeed. Who sent me that? Well, it must be on some sort of mailing list or something like that. I haven't applied to be on any fetish store mailing lists, thank you very much. Leather trousers and harnesses and all this business. What's going on there? Who on earth has added me to some sort of mailing list? I immediately did it. I didn't even look at it, dear. They had trousers on there, and I don't know, there were leather trousers on there, and I don't know what's gone on with them, but someone appears to have forgotten to put the back on the trousers. They were backless. What on earth is going on there? Dear Jim, if you can help me, let me know. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Fetish shops, dear? There's just some very strange things on there indeed. I had a sort of quick look at the picture. There were these, like, spheres, like little like golf balls they were, attached on a long piece of string. I thought it was some sort of toy. Very, very strange indeed. I don't know what they are for. So that's that. What else have we got? Oh, for the first time, I have been watching the Titanic. I've never seen it before with that good-looking boy. He must be a bit older now. What's his name? You know the one. Here, far, wherever you are. I can't remember the boy's name. Leonardo DiCaprio, that's it, isn't it? Leonardo DiCaprio's in it, and that girl. And I've never seen it before. I've only got as far as about the first half hour, 45 minutes so far. And, it's a lovely bit there. It seems that the girl is supposed to be marrying some bloke who's not very pleasant. And Leonardo DiCaprio is like a boy who's also on the boat. But he's in third class, and she's in first class, which is at the top. And kind of never the twain shall meet, but they do meet. And it's all very nice, really, and he keeps meeting her secretly. And the future husband knows about this and keeps throwing wobbly. The future husband is not a nice man. Not a nice man at all. And I've got so far to the scene where he meets her and takes her to the front of the boat, right at the front. You know where, like on some of the old boats, they used to have like a statue at the front of the boat. I can't remember what it's called now. Do you remember that? Well, he takes her to the front of the boat and they kiss passionately at the front of the boat as it's crashing through the waves. Oh, it's so nice. Oh, we all want something like that, don't we? Eh? Wouldn't you like something like that? And then he goes to the girl's room, right, because the future husband is always out drinking brandy and getting drunk and not being very pleasant, really. And he goes to this girl's room, and Leonardo DiCaprio in this film, he's also an artist. He can draw very well. And he says, "What do you want me to draw? I want you to draw me like you draw your French women." What do you mean? And I think, and so he gets her to lay, I think, naked, or she wants this. She lays naked. It's she, unfortunately. I'd rather have seen him naked, to be honest. But she lays naked on this like settee sofa type thing, and he paints her, and it's all very nice. And the painting came out. I don't suppose. Well, he doesn't paint her. He draws her with like a black. I don't know what it is. Is it a piece of charcoal? I'm no good at artistry. I am completely useless at drawing pictures. If I drew you a picture, you would think a little child had drawn it. I'm no good at that at all. I can draw a house, which would just be basically lines, you know, square box, you know, triangle on the roof, 4 square windows, and perhaps an arched door, and that's about as good as it gets for me for drawing and painting and anything. I'm just completely useless at doing that. I can't do that at all. And he does rather a nice picture of her, I have to say. It came out really well. And I was kind of thinking to myself, perhaps, you know my new sofa that I've got in the Britannia studio upstairs. We've been in the studio for a while because I think while the weather's nice and sunny, we won't have much more of this, I suppose, before it gets rather cold. I do like to come out in the garden. I mean, it's just so much more pleasant doing the show outside. So we haven't been in the studio for a while, but I'm sure in the winter we'll be in there most of the time. But I could get, perhaps you are an artist, are you? I mean, how do you fancy the idea of me laying naked on the settee and you drawing me? Would you like that, lovey? Have we got any volunteers to do that? I think that would be quite a nice picture. Perhaps I could display it behind me, obviously with tasteful pants on or something like that. Now the question is, would you want me on the settee naked, or would I wear the pants on the settee? That's the question. Have we got any offers for that? Anyone want to paint me naked while laying on my new sofa, seductively, possibly holding an apple like that, you know, an apple in my hand towards my mouth, or pouting my lips? What do you reckon on that idea? Is that a good idea? Do let us know. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. So I look forward to watching the rest of that film, Titanic, and I can't understand why I haven't watched it before. There's a few films that have been very, very popular over the years that I've never watched. I've never watched Gone with the Wind. I know it's an old film, but nevertheless it's something that I feel I ought to watch at some point. I did try Romeo and Juliet, but I didn't have a clue what they were talking about in that. It was I was so disappointed when I put it on and it was all in that Shakespearean language, and I just don't get it. Do you? I just don't get that Shakespearean language. It's all a mystery to me, dear. What on earth are they talking about? And why do they have to talk in that language anyway? Can we please be talking in languages that normal people will understand? Thank you very much. And it'd be much better. I was very impressed with my friend's... he's got an iPhone. Which is... I love the iPhone. Unfortunately, I'm on the Orange network here in the UK, and you can only get the iPhone on O2. People have said, you know, well, you can get it and get it unlocked. Unfortunately, I did look into this and I found out that if Apple release updates, it can make the phone lock up again. So I'm not going to go along that route. I mean, my phone's all right, and I'd love an Apple iPhone. I really, really would. But unfortunately, not available on the Orange network. I've got a Nokia 5800, and whereas I am reasonably happy with it, I do find it difficult to go on the internet on that, and like the page will shrink and then there will be 3 pages. I find it very, very difficult to operate the internet, certainly. I've got most of it worked, but the one thing with the Nokia 5800 is the battery does not last longer than a day. Has anyone else got one of them? Anyone else got a Nokia 5800? The battery doesn't even last a day, and it must be one of the worst phones for length of time that the battery lasts that I've ever had. And before the technical people start writing in and say, oh, you can't have charged it properly and all this, listen, I've had a mobile phone for 15 years. I know how to charge them. I know on that first visit you're supposed to plug it in for like, I don't know, 12 hours or something like that. And then you're supposed to let it run down to nothing before you recharge it. I know all about that, okay? But this particular phone is the worst battery life I've ever come across. Has anyone else got experience of that? Please let me know, so I know I'm not the only one. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Anyway, my mate's got an Apple iPhone, and he wanted to charge it up. And he gave me his charger, and it was the smallest charger I've ever seen. The plug was just a normal-sized plug with a wire coming out of it, and that plugs straight into the phone. There's no, like, you know, most of these things I've always got, like, either a very large plug where the transformer is, or the adapter, whatever you want to call it, or it plugs into the wall and then it's got a black box within the lead, and then the other end of the lead plugs into your phone. So that's where the transformer. But this Apple iPhone charger, it's just a plug. That's all it is a plug and a piece of wire. And I wonder how they've managed to do that. There must be some really small electronics going on in that plug, isn't there? Very, very clever indeed. So I'm very, very impressed by that. Music, boys and girls. I've sent a very long DJ mix. I know some of you like to download my non-stop music DJ mixes. Now, you can find those by downloading them free of charge at chrisreardonshow.co.uk. I'm all licensed by the PRS, OK? If you want to have a look at that one, once again, chrisreardonshow.co.uk. There you'll find my non-stop DJ mixes. And if you look for the one dated the 30th of August, that's one I recorded recently at the Two Brewers in Clapham. It's 4 hours and 50 minutes long, so just under 5 hours long, that one. That'll do you. Plug it in your car, take your iPod in the car or whatever it is, for MP3 player. Far too big, of course, to burn onto a CD. But if you download the MP3 of that, as I say, it will last for 4 hours and 50 minutes. It's got the complete track listing there as well. So there's something for you to listen to if you like music, OK? Once again, a non-stop 4 hour, 50-minute DJ mix. Look for the one dated the 30th of August, 2009. And you can get that by downloading by going to chrisreardonshow.co.uk. chrisreardonshow.co.uk. And just above that one, you'll see, I think that's the one with, it's got a picture of me with my tongue poking out. The tongue poking out. Right, this cat is up and down off my lap today. Can't you settle today, darling? What's wrong, Katie? She's not settling down, is she? Go on, settle down, girl. We're a bit late in the day recording this as well. I hope I get my swimming. Oh, I've been doing weekend swimming as well now. Yeah, I used to go just Monday to Friday, but I found sometimes during the week it's hard to fit a swim in during the day. For example, today, right? I like to record my show, then edit it, put it all together, and then I'll go down the swimming pool. Well, sometimes if I start late, as indeed I have done today, and I might have a few other things, bits and pieces to do, I don't have the time to get down the swimming pool. So I've now started going on the weekends. Now, I didn't used to go at the weekends because I always thought it would be horrendously busy. How wrong was I? It's actually quieter if you go. I go to Bracknell Leisure Centre, which is run by the council. Seems to be run a lot better than it used to be when I was going down there 3 years ago. If you remember, I actually left there and went to the private place. I've now left the private place because it got far too expensive. It was over £700 a year. That's just ridiculous if you're just using the swimming pool. So I went back to the council-run one, which is it's less than a third, just over a third of the price, about £340 a year, something like that. So I go there, and that's fine. You just need to know the times to go. And if you are in the Bracknell area, if you're listening to this on Bracknell Radio, for example, and you ever want to go to the swimming pool when it's quiet, here's the advice. During the week, Monday to... No, actually, all the time, if you leave it till after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, usually it's reasonably quiet. And it surprised me that was the same to be said on Saturdays and Sundays. Although I went Saturday and Sunday, I got there about 1 o'clock on Sunday, thinking to myself that everyone would be having their Sunday lunch. But actually, there's a few children in the smaller pool, but the bigger pool was practically empty. And the same went for Saturday. I went Saturday as well. I went in the big pool on Saturday, again, round about 1:30, and it wasn't busy at all. So I'm now doing weekend swimming as well, as part of my keep fit regime. Because if I put on any more weight, the cat won't talk to me. I mean, she won't. You won't, will you, darling? Because my cat is a little bit stuck up, like my friend Ron, the one who's recently been to Sri Lanka, you remember? I keep asking him to come on the show, but it's kind of finding time to do all these things. His time has to match up with me. He lives his life in total and utter chaos. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. He's very tidy and everything like that. Was stress. That's it. His life is so stressful, and he does half of it himself. He makes life stressful for himself. You know, when I go over there, if we like, let's go out for somewhere to eat, you know, it'd take him 2 hours to make up his mind what he's going to have to eat. It's dreadful. Now, the cat can hear something. What can you hear, Katie? Her ears have pricked up. And I can feel her heart beating fast. What is it, Katie? She'll probably jump off my lap in a minute and investigate. I love the way they walk around the garden patrolling, don't they? Huh? Right, what else has been happening? Oh, the car's got to go in to be looked at. That's next week. I've noticed a noise. Now, it's like a whining noise. As I move off slowly, it's like it goes... And as I move faster... And as I go faster, you can't hear it. And then when you get to about... Well, it used to be 50 mile an hour, now it's happening earlier. When I get to about 35 mile an hour, you can hear a low-pitched whine, zzz, like that, which gets louder as you turn left and quieter as you turn right. Now, the car's already been in the garage for a quick look, just to check it was still safe to drive, and they said it was, and they booked it in for 2 weeks' time, which is actually next week. And the bloke thinks it's a wheel bearing gone on the driver's side. So I don't know, I really don't know anything about that. All I do know was they've taken a while to book this in for some reason. They're quite busy at the moment. Although they said if it had been dangerous, they would have done it, you know, almost immediately. But that was a couple of weeks ago, and I've noticed the whine is definitely getting louder now. Especially as I turn left. I mean, you can hear it. You can hear it quite loud. So... do you think that's a wheel bearing? Because I'm not quite sure about that. Let us know what you think. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Do we have any mechanics watching or listening? I know Irvin De Silla, who I keep hearing appear on Ross Patzel's show. He seems to be an integral part of Ross's show now, doesn't he, Ross? Eh? And I do take note that I never hear him swear like Ross does. Oh, all the F's and B's that come out of his mouth, Ross, I don't know what we're going to do with you. But Irvin will know what that is. What is that noise coming from the car? Or could it be a number of things? This is a problem, you see. Me not being technically minded like that, I haven't got a clue what's going on. That's not the only thing that's going wrong at the moment. One of my computers, it's the spare one in the living room, which is it's about 4 years old. But when I'm trying to watch films on it, the picture stutters. Are you with me? And also, if I kind of highlight an icon and grab it and drag it across the screen, it moves in steps rather than smoothly. Now, I spoke to James Dean from matineeshow.co.uk about this, and he reckoned it was the graphics card, right? So I ordered a graphics card and it arrived and I put it in. I couldn't get it going. It did do stuff, but it wouldn't work properly. So I've taken the graphics card, and I think I wasn't going to bother too much. I can't be doing with these things. I took the graphics card and the computer down to a computer repair shop here in Bracknell, and he's had it a day, and I rang him this morning, and he says the drivers are no good for the graphics card. I said, I did give you the CD for those. He said, well, they don't work for it. He said, nothing much I can do. You'll have to get another graphic. I said, well, that one's new. He says, well, it doesn't work. I said, well, can you sort that out for me? He says, yeah, we'll sort it out for Monday. I'll have to get another graphics card for you. Be £45, and I charge you £20 to put it in. Well, it's £65 altogether. And plus, I've already paid £45 for the other graphics card, although I should be able to send that back, shouldn't I suppose? Eh? I hope so, anyway. Otherwise, it means I'm paying out twice. And by the time you've spent sort of, I don't know, £150, whatever, sorting out a computer, it's just not worth it, is it? I hope he's able to sort this out with the other graphics card he's about to buy anyway. Otherwise I shall be disappointed. So there we are, a couple of little faults I'm having to deal with at the moment. Also, worse than that is the accountant sent me my annual letter. What happens in March, I sent all my papers off to him and he deals with all the figure work. I can't do all that rubbish. And you know what I'm like with paperwork. I just look at these and it's just, to me, it's another silly little piece of paper. You know, with a bit of writing on it. That's how I feel about all these accounts and all that. I can't be dealing with that rubbish. So he deals with all that. And he sent me this letter. And of course, you know, there's always a few items that are missing. A little bank statement or something like that. And he sent me there's actually only about 4 things on the list. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, I really, where do I find that? Where do I find that? And I just hate it so much. Do you do your own accounts? If you do, I mean, my heart goes out to you. But because I'm self-employed, it's important to have all these things done. And done properly. Otherwise, you can end up paying an awful lot more tax than you are supposed to. Or you can end up paying not enough tax and then getting a huge fine from them. And you don't want that. You know? So I've been dealing with that as well. So three big sort of things I've had to do this week. Okie doke then. On to some emails, my darlings. First of all, let's say hi to Tom Harris from TomHarrisUSA.com. Yet another podcast for you to listen to, similar to this one, okay? TomHarrisUSA.com. He's recently been to the UK and come along to meet me at my karaoke. And he writes, Ari, your box is full of mice. Yeah, I've got a box upstairs with wires and bits of electronics and mice in it. You know, computer mice. And Tom says, I have 3 mice. 1 is dead, 1 squeaks, and 1 has no ball. Oh, you should take that one to the vets, dear. The one with no ball. I mean, that must... Poor thing. How did it lose that? Or was it a major life-saving cancer operation or something like that, was it? He says, on the subject of, do I trust Barack Obama? Because we were talking about that. I quite like Barack Obama. And he says, well, I trust him a lot more than I trusted Bush. Well, I think the world must go along with that. But he says, but one must always keep in mind that in order to be an effective politician, one has to have the ability to cut deals. Sometimes this might mean abandoning one's promises or goals in the short term to achieve a better long-term result. With Obama, I do feel that his motives are much purer and his ideas much better. So do I trust him? It's a difficult question. I believe that he's sincere and has the country's best interests at heart, but Washington DC is known for ruining the best intentioned plans. Now, on the same subject of trust, he says, do I trust Chris Reardon? And he says, actually, I think I do. Scary. Oh, are you sure? Are you sure I trust what I say and do? Ooh. Well, you should do, I think. I mean, what lies have I got to tell you? What lies do I tell here? None. I did put oh yes, on Facebook. Do you remember we were talking about lies a few shows back now? And I did put, when I put the show summary on Facebook, if you're not on my Facebook and you want to join me, my Facebook and Twitter name are the same, Chris Reardon UK. All right, Chris Reardon UK are my Facebook and Twitter names. And whenever I release a show, I put it up on my status thing. And one of the things in that show, it said, what's your biggest lie? And my friend Ronnie, he put, you keep telling everyone you're poor. Well, I am, dear. Searching around in bins for a half-eaten burger or a sandwich. You don't know what it's like here. I mean, the money's coming in, but it's the cat, you see. I mean, I've got a cat to feed and keep. She's a very, very expensive cat. Nothing but the best for my Katie. On the subject of your sunflowers, yeah, I've got some lovely, lovely big sunflowers which are still tall and enormous. They actually seem to last quite a long time. A lot of flowers you get sort of a few days out of them. Roses, I think, in particular, they sort of flower and then they disappear fairly quickly, don't they? The sunflowers do seem to hang around for a long time, so I'm quite pleased how they've turned out. And indeed, they're still up there. One of them's, it's got to be 9.5 foot tall, one of them. It's kind of bent over now where it's pulling the stick over, it's so heavy at the top. And the other ones, of course, flowered and went, and I'm going to cut the heads off, and they've got one's got another 4 heads on it, and one's got 1, 2, and the other's got 4 heads on it. And the other ones are starting to open. They're not as big as the original one, of course. And Tom says, on the subject of your sunflowers, are you planning on roasting and eating the sunflower seeds? No, not at all. Never done that. He says, I've done this myself, and they came out quite well. They do very well on salads, although shelling them is time-consuming. I mean, that must take ages. They're tiny little things, aren't they? Sunflower seeds. I don't think I've got the patience to do that. He says, once the seeds are ripe, you gather them and you should wash them in a colander. You want to shell them. This is when you do that, although it's not necessary. Dry them well, then spread them out on a cookie sheet. Sprinkle whatever seasoning you like on them, salt, garlic powder, whatever, over them, and drizzle them with olive oil. Bake at about 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 to 40 minutes. Be sure to check them every few minutes to make sure they don't burn. Then let them cool and put them in a sealed container and store them in a dried place. A fridge is fine. Your 3 or 4 flowers should produce a lot of seeds. Yes, indeed they have. I mean, the 2 heads that I've cut off so far, I mean, there's an enormous amount of seeds in those. I don't know if I've got the patience to start shelling them, though. That must, it'd take ages, wouldn't it? And how do you shell a sunflower? Do you kind of cut it with a knife or what? I don't know. I really don't know. Killing spiders. I've had 3 or 4, or what is it? No, 2 or 3 large spiders I found in my house recently, and I did tell you that I don't kill them. He says, I don't kill spiders. I take them outside if at all possible, even though I was hospitalised once by a poisonous spider 5 years ago. Oh, what spider was that then? Oh, come on, tell us. What spider was you hospitalised by? Oh, my word. On the subject of our story, The Elves of Ireland, I enjoyed the story and do it again, he says. Do it again. So we might do that again. Might do another story at some point in the year. I don't know. What did you think of the story, The Elves of Iceland? Let us know. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Oh, I've nearly forgot to give you the postal address. I'm going to give you that in a minute. He also says, P.S. The train riding pigeons are back. I talked this in one of my episodes, TomHarrisUSA.com, if it's where you can find his podcast. Episode 33 you want to look for, OK? Train riding pigeons. To listen about that, go to TomHarrisUSA.com and look for episode 33. He says, if not for those pigeons, I would never have written to your show and quite probably never have started my own podcast. Thank you, Tom. Nice to hear from you, sir. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. The postal address is Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. Once again, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, BRACKNELL, RG42 9ED, United Kingdom. Righty-ho. And look who it is. James Dean's other half. Ben has written in. Hello, Ben. How kind of you to write in, to take to take time to push those keys on that keypad. And he says, "Hi, Rears." Rears? Rears? It's not my name, Rears. Where did you get the... Hey, Rears, he says, do you know... Because we had pink lilies, didn't we, in this studio the other week. Do you know that the pollen from lilies are deadly poisonous to cats? No. I didn't know that. But don't you worry about Katie. She is taken. She gets taken... Looked after by me, aren't you? She's sitting next to me again. All right. One more email on the show, and then we'll have to go. And it's from David on the Isle of Wight, who says, "Hope you had a lovely time at your sister's. It's all hands on deck on the Isle of Wight. We have had a festival." I think that's some sort of musical festival they have on the Isle of Wight. So nice to hear from you. That's from David and Kat on the Isle of Wight. Oh, we've got about half a minute left. I have got an email here or from Thomas in Poland. Actually, Thomas, I'm going to do that on the next show, OK? We've run out of time to do that one today. One quick one here from Ross Patzelt, who says, "Hi, Chris. Listening to you talking about your friend Giovanni, who is in London here working." Yeah, and he sends a lot of his money back to his family in Colombo, which is, I mean, he's not well paid at all. It's just amazing how some people are. People like this amaze me. They work long and hard to help other people. I moan sometimes about my job, but I tell you what, I'm so lucky to have a lovely, warm and safe house. From now on, I think that when work gets me down, I will just pause and think and hold on. This job is what makes me carry on having my lovely house. Loved this story you told about the man from Ross in Norwich. Yeah, it's true. And I'm exactly the same, Ross. You know, sometimes on my paying DJ jobs, I come home and I moan like hell, but I don't realise sometimes how lucky I am. And I must remember that. Time to go. Thanks very much, as always, for watching and listening to the show today. Chris at UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk is my email address. I'll see you on the next show. Bye-bye.